Good evening, people. Welcome to the Keeping It Real Conversation Show with your host, Camila, aka Sunshine. It is Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. Of course, as I state, I am so glad to be in the land of the living. It could have been another way, but however, God saw fit for us to be here in this moment. Let somebody know that we are live on the Facebook page of Sunshine Camila, Kamela. We are live on the YouTube channel, the same name of the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're live on Twitch and we're live on X, formerly known as Twitter. As I state, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're literally one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. Proven over and over again since I started this show in 2020. Also, I have some of the dopest guests on this side of heaven every time. We never miss. Tonight is no different from that pattern that we have set. This man right here, awesome. I'm glad to call him my friend. We're going to get into his bio real quick, and then we're going to get into this conversation that I have waiting so patiently to have with him. Matthew Beebee has been a worship leader since the age of 14. Growing up in church, he began playing piano and developing his gift that later became a serious call to reach many people with his music. He answered that call as a 19-year-old, going into full-time worship ministry, and has been there ever since. Matthew has produced and recorded 2 live worship albums: The Nations Will Praise in 2005, The Worship Factor 2007, featuring 6-time Grammy-nominated R&B singer and songwriter Kelly Price, and has produced and been featured on several other recordings, including his 2021 album, Everything to Me, and his latest single, Let It Rise, available wherever digital music is sold. Matthew continues to travel the country, singing and allowing God to use him as he sees lives change through the gifts and talent he has been blessed with. We will talk about some other things that he got going on, but tonight I want you to welcome my friend, Matthew Beebee.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. It's good to be here for sure.
And when I tell you to put you out there to say that you were coming on the show, you should see my inboxes.
Oh, yeah.
You are something dope, man.
I appreciate that. What was the inboxes?
That you're good. You're an amazing worshiper.
Wow, that's an honor.
Let's get into this conversation because I know some behind the scenes stuff, but you are awesome. Like I said, worship leader. Every time I talk to you or I see you on stage, it's like you are Israel Houghton.
Oh, I'll take that as a compliment. That's good.
You have rubbed elbows with some of that I need to get on this show. Some of the premier worshipers, as in Vashawn Mitchell. What we're gonna have to talk off camera to get him over here. But to be able to be in the rooms with these individuals, know that your call is very serious. Know that you're definitely special to the body of Christ. So I will say that. Let's get into, before you were 14, what was Matthew like?
Before when I was 14, that's really when I first started playing music. Before that, I mean, I was just a kid growing up. You know, we weren't a very wealthy family. We were pretty poor, and so we traveled. You know, we moved around all over. We've lived in Detroit, River Rouge, Walled Lake, Belleville. I mean, we lived all over the Allen Park, Lincoln Park, lived all over Metro Detroit. and so we moved a lot as a child. And but I grew up in church. You know, we always had we were a very close, tight family, and we were all raised in church. And so my family is actually musical, and so I grew up watching my cousins and my brothers and everybody play music. And so when I was in, early teens, 13, 14. Well, I take it back. When I was 10 years old, I started playing the drums, and I was practicing all the time, practicing in the church, and the pastor of the church heard me practicing and asked if I would play on a particular Sunday. I agreed, that I would play, and at 10 years old, of course, and they had me playing for like they had the like congregational section, and then they had the choir section. And I was the choir drummer for particular for particular choir songs, and so they had me playing drums. Then I don't know how good I was. I don't know if I was that good, but everybody was all in wow, and whatever. At 14 is when I started learning how to really play the keyboard and play the piano. Yeah. So up till then, it was just a normal kid journey with some music in it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, we always have those questions when, you grow up in church, you had that other side of you of, mischievous, getting into trouble, being the total opposite of what you were called to do. Were you like that?
Yeah. I mean, as a teenager, yeah, I never strayed too far from church. I never went too far. I didn't. I There's hasn't been a time in my life where I've actually left church. I was always in church, but yeah, I got into stuff as a teenager. I probably didn't get into it as much as my friends or other people did, but because I always had that check in me that whenever something that was happening that I probably wasn't supposed to do, there was always like a hesitation. And sometimes I would go, and sometimes I would really hesitate. Probably more than I didn't. I would hesitate, to get into any trouble. So I wasn't out stealing. I wasn't out, doing, I wasn't doing a bunch of drugs and stuff like that. I stayed pretty true to what I was trying to be, with the with sprinkle of trouble, I guess.
So in your neighborhoods that you grew up with, and I know you probably look different, sound different than most kids. Were you ever picked on?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was picked on as back when I was 11. Well, probably 10, 9, 10, 11. Went to different schools, because we moved around so much, and kids wouldn't know me, and yeah, they would pick on me. They would, yeah, I got I got jumped one time as a kid, as like a 10-year-old, and that was probably when I started learning how to take care of myself, as far as physical confrontation. After that happened, I wasn't gonna let that happen again. But yeah, I had my days. That ended probably when I was 12, 13. Yeah, I started going to a private school at around 12 and 13, and I was with kids who were like me, who were into church, into music, stuff like that, and so I kind of started to fit in with more people. But yeah, I had my days, that's for sure.
So with your musicianship, you play the drums, you play the keys, organ. We see you playing the guitar. What else do you play?
I play the bass. Um, Periodically. I mean, I wouldn't call myself like a phenomenal bass player or a phenomenal drummer even. Um, uh, I primarily lead worship from the keys and from the guitar. I've actually tried to play like saxophone, stuff like that. Didn't really take. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Bass, drums, guitar, keyboards.
So with your musicianship, were you self-taught or you actually had training?
I was self-taught. Like I said, I grew up in a musical family, and so I was around music a lot. My cousin was a really good drummer. Is probably, I'm sure he still is, really good drummer. My brother plays bass. My older brother plays the drums. So I grew up in a musical family, so it was kind of natural to I was watching people play instruments, but when it came time for me to sit down at a keyboard or sit down with a guitar or something like that, I learned. I taught myself. I learned on my own.
So the golden question of tonight: can you read music?
I cannot fluently read music. I could get around it. I could get around it, but I can't fluently read music. No.
So is that something you might actually try to do later on?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I've actually looked up some stuff on more reading more. I primarily play by ear. That comes in handy in church events, just because pretty much every musician plays by ear in church. I'm not saying they can't read, but I'm saying when it comes to worship on the fly, you gotta have an ear for it. And there's also the number system, which I know really well, and so when musicians are all working together, we throw up the number, the one, the four, the five, and that can get you through a song too. But it's definitely something that if I would like to do at this point in my life and my career. I haven't really seen a need for it as much, but I'm not opposed to it. Yeah.
So let's talk about you're still young. How old are you?
I'm 44. I don't know about still young. I'm getting up there now.
Man, get out of here. Anywho, so being that you have grown up in different areas of the metro area,
Hmm.
metro Detroit area, do you feel that it's easier for you to worship in different atmospheres because being and growing up in different neighborhoods that might not just be dominant white or black or Hispanic, whatever?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Definitely comes from my upbringing. Uh, my mom was really heavy into Motown. My mom passed away back in 2012, but she was really heavy into Motown, and she would always have like a bunch of different styles of music playing in the house. And so my mom grew up in Detroit, all the way up until she was in her 30s, I think it was, or late 20s, 30s, when we were still kids. And so growing up in, yeah, diverse areas, growing up in different communities definitely gave me an appreciation for different styles and various worship styles. And I find myself actually in different styles of worship, pretty consistently now. Where uh, one one service I do is primarily white, and another service I do is primarily black. And the music is vastly different. In some instances. So it's an adjustment, but it's actually something that I've really worked at to try to become something that can minister to all people and not just
Yeah.
one particular genre. Yeah.
I want to also take the time to say thank you and hello to all those that are on right now. Of course, do me a favor, like and share. Also, my big brother, the sponsor of this show, um, Wally Dixon, is in the building. Blessings to you. Um, I don't know if you can see the comments, but he's here. And I'm going to do something. Matter of fact, Matthew, this is
Yes.
not a part. This is not a part of what I'm gonna have you do later. But hold on,
Okay.
Wally, are you still here? Hopefully, he's still here. But today is his birthday.
Oh.
He turned 50 today. I'm so happy for him. Um, if you remember, and one, this is main event. So I don't know if he's still here or not, but today, even in this moment on his birthday, he still come through to show love to us, the village. And I just want to say thank you again, and happy birthday to him. Be safe out there, um, out in New Jersey. Uh, He has done a lot for me in this show. 85% of my people that I've had on the show, I've never met in person. And a lot of those people came through Wally, who really believed in what I'm doing here. And so I'll always be grateful to him for his connections and his belief in what I do. So he's not here, so you don't have to sing to him. So lucky for you.
Right.
Um, let's go into um, being a gospel artist. So in school, while you were growing up in these different atmospheres, these different schools, were you in choir or band or any of that in school?
Yeah, yeah, we really did. I went to a private school when I was in my teen years. So during this time of like musical development, we really didn't have like band class or anything like that. But we did do music. We actually had chapel service, church. It was like every Wednesday was a chapel service that we had, where the students would do the worship. A student would teach, or the principal, or whatever. And I was a part of that. I was very heavily a part of that. And we had bands in school where we had, like I said, there was a lot of musicians, who went to the school. So we joined our own bands and stuff like that. So it wasn't necessarily like a school band type of thing, but we did have. It was like a worship band in the school. So yeah.
So when did you know for yourself that this was the call on your life? Like, I'm going to be a worship leader.
So at 14, I started playing. My dad had a church at the time, and he was one day he was cleaning out the baptismal at the church that we were a part of. He had his own church, but we were also part of another church. And he was cleaning out the baptismal there, and I was on the keyboard, on the piano, playing the piano. And I had learned like two worship songs, and I don't even remember. It was like "I Love You, Lord," or I don't remember. I learned like two worship songs, and my dad came up, and my dad was like, "You know those songs?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay." He said, "Well, you're gonna do worship this Sunday at my church," and I was like, "Oh man, I don't know him like that." But he was like, "No, you got it. Just play how you're playing, and blah blah blah." And so we did those songs for like 3 4 weeks probably until I learned another one. And then from that time on, I started really kind of growing, learning more music. My sister primarily was the worship leader there. I would help sing backup with her, and I would play keyboard. And then there was a church in Southwest Detroit when I was 18 years old named Metropolitan World Outreach, and it was actually under the umbrella of Detroit World Outreach Church. And I was already doing some prayer stuff at Detroit World Outreach by this time, and just prayer services like on Friday night, where I'm just sitting at a piano and people are just praying. That was basically it. And they called me up and asked me to come be the play keyboard because their keyboard player uh, got sick or something happened to their keyboard player. And so I remember I had a broken leg at the time, and I went and sat down at the keyboard. I just played, and I kind of filled in while the associate pastor led worship. And so I was playing keys. Well, he came up to me and he's like, "Man, I'm not a worship leader." He said, "So this Sunday you're leading worship." And I said, "No, I'm not." I said, "I don't do that. I'm more like the keyboard player. I'm kind of." And he's like, "Well, you better figure it out, man, because I'm not doing it this week." And that was it. From that day on, I led. I don't even remember what songs. I was so nervous, and I remember thinking in my head, nobody really cares what I have to say or what I have to sing. I'm just gonna get through this and be done with it. And I never stopped after that. That was like day one. That was in 1998, and then in 2002 I was hired on to DWO as their worship pastor over at Detroit Road Outreach in Redford, Michigan, which was a really large church at the time, in the city of Detroit. And so that was under Bishop Wallace. He brought me in, and basically I flourished there for years. and then after, as one of the youngest guys, I mean, I was only 22 on staff and as their worship leader, and so I was pretty young for the rest of the team. But I learned so much in that time frame that that's kind of what launched me into recording and doing traveling, doing more other stuff like that. So probably when I was 18 years old, I started getting an idea of like, okay, this might be something that I would do on a regular basis, and sure enough, yeah.
So just to clarify, all this time, this as far as worship and musicianship and all of this is the only job you ever had, right?
Now, when I was 17, I got a job at the Office Max Distribution Center, and basically we delivered office furniture. We were truck drivers, and we delivered. And I was there until I was 19. Once at 19 years old, I went into full time ministry, and yeah, I haven't come out of it. Yep.
Hmm. So did you find it difficult to, well, I'll get into that question later of balancing life, but as a 19-year-old, when I was 19, there was moments of trying to figure yourself out, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't know. So in these moments of growing up in front of the church, basically, did you have moments where you was like, I'm not sure if this is it, or you was just sold out completely at 19?
I think at 19, I had already had two children, and I was married already. So
Okay,
by
stop.
that,
Wait,
yeah.
stop. Wait a minute. Say what?
Yeah, yeah. And so by that time, I was sold. I was like, this is my job. This is my life. I At 17 years old, my girlfriend got pregnant, and at 18, we decided to get married. Shortly after he was born, my son was born, and after that was when I really dedicated myself to getting into worship and really just making that my primary focus for my life. Yeah. Yep. I was
Hmm.
young. I was a kid.
Get into trouble.
Yeah, at the time. Yep. Yep.
So 17, you already had a child.
Yep.
It's
No,
important.
18. I had him at 18.
18. So
Yeah.
I want to bring out certain things that, for whatever reason, I don't know why people feel that ministers and preachers didn't have a life before you knew that's what they did, right?
Right.
So we have to really tell the honest truth that, hey, I'm no different than you are.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I had moments in life where I was doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And some of us was doing it while you was in church. Hello?
Right. Right. Yeah, I was playing the keyboard at my dad's church at the time. They had to pull me up to the in front of the church so I could tell everybody that I was pregnant, that I was having a baby.
No, they didn't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But it wasn't judgmental. They like prayed for me and stuff like that. I took a break for a while. It wasn't like this whole, let's embarrass him, but they knew people were gonna know. People were gonna see it. So, it's just a matter of being transparent about it.
Okay, let's go here because I remember the first time I got married, um, and we eloped. And my dad, when I told my parents, this was like around Thanksgiving. So my dad first question or his reaction to me was, "Are y'all pregnant?" And we like, "No." He said, "Oh, okay, because I'm good. I didn't want you to be getting married just because you had children, right?"
Right. Right.
So getting married for you, was that to cover her, or did you really, really, really want to marry her?
That So I believe it was both. I believe it wasn't so much as to cover her in the sense of to me it was the right thing to do. I didn't want my son growing up in an atmosphere where I wasn't there. Um, it was right. I did want to get married. Well, looking back now, it probably wasn't. It wasn't the best decision to get married so young. And even though the circumstances were that she was pregnant or that we had just had a baby, um, it was still. I still should have slowed down, listened to counsel that was around me. Not saying that she was all the problem, but there was problems there because of our decision. And so, um, yeah, it was probably a little bit of both, a little bit of both of like wanting to do the right thing, wanted to really take a go at having a family for real, instead of just running around with a child somewhere. So that was always my heart about it. And so, yeah, that was the intent.
So 18, you had your first one, and what was the next time?
19, 19 years old, had my second one, and then I have three altogether. So it was 22 was my third one. Yeah. Yep. And by 22, like I said, I was at Detroit Road Outreach. I was full on into my career. Everything took off really fast. Everything kind of just happened within 5-6 years of me sitting down at a keyboard and playing, to me being like one of the a worship leader at one of the biggest churches in Detroit. And so it was definitely God ordained. God did a lot of stuff, opened a lot of doors where I know for a fact that I couldn't have done it on my own. And it was just being, it's amazing, like being at the right place at the right time so many times that you're like, man, what did I do to deserve this? I messed up. I did stuff on my, I shouldn't have done. I had a lifestyle that I shouldn't have done. I shouldn't have lived, and yeah, there was still elevation and promotion in the process of me growing into what I'm supposed to be. On a bigger scale. So, yeah,
That is, you just said and dropped some gems on um people, period, of feeling condemnation for what you done. God already knew that we were going to do these things. It didn't take
yeah,
God by surprise. The pregnancy didn't take God by surprise. He already had made provisions. It's just for us to forgive ourselves and go on to whatever he has for us.
right,
And sometimes we go around not forgiving ourselves for a long time, and
mhm,
we're stumbling, we're missing out on the things that God has for us because we're in a moment of either people pleasing, we're in a moment of just continue to do what you're doing, thinking that you know eventually you're gonna grow out of it. um Even in the moment of continue to go to church, even when you messed up, is
yeah,
still very important, because God can still heal. God can still do the miraculous while you're still going through what you're going through. It's not the end of the world. It's
yeah.
not.
And one thing,
And
one thing I'll always say is, even going through stuff, I never doubted God. I never doubted God was real. I still have never come to a place where is this really real? I don't, it's like there's just been kind of a blind trust to it. And I'm not saying you don't have issues where you're like, man, why is this happening? Why, what did I do? Yada, yada. But I've never come to a place where I always had an understanding that there is a God who loves me and who knows me. And that's probably from the teaching of my dad. My dad's a very gracious person, very forgiving. I watched that all my life, and he needed forgiveness in a lot of areas, and he would get it. And so just knowing how to be a forgiving person and understanding that you're forgiven is crucial to getting back up when you fall.
absolutely, that was another gem you just dropped.
Yeah.
So I hope that people are watching, who's watching, will understand that grace is amazing.
Right.
Favor is amazing. For you to know and have confidence in God, even in the rough times, that He's still gonna make a way, is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Even going through being married with two, three children, and having the lifestyle of worship. What was that experience like to? Because all these things, even when we preach, even when we do all these things for God, it starts with us first, and then
Right.
it relates to the people. So, what was that worship moment like on a personal level for you?
Worship was always, I hate to say it, I guess this is a good way to say it, but it was always an escape. Being up on stage and leading worship on the platform, and being able to reach into other people's lives, and it was always like a way of like, it doesn't matter what's going on in my life, doesn't matter what's going on when I'm up here for this 30, 45 minutes or whatever. I don't think about any of that. I don't focus on negative, all my true focus really was like, Lord, use me in spite of me. Whatever, whatever I'm dealing with, whatever issue is one thing, but I can put that aside right now and just pray that you use me in spite of who I am. And it was always, but yeah, there was times of like grieving, and there was times of desperation where you push through, and it's like, man, I needed that. After I'm done with it, it's like, man, I guess I really needed that. But at the time, it's like you forget everything around you for a little bit, and just want to be in his presence. And that was something that I really wanted to I really wanted to do. And so you go back, get back in your car and head home, and it's all right there waiting for you when you get back. But at the same time, when you're doing what you're called to do, it can't slow you down, can't stop you.
So, as the gospel artist or the worship on CD or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
um, how did your songs or your albums, how were they birthed?
I actually have I have my church side where I did some church albums, and that's like what you had mentioned earlier with Detroit Road Outreach. And I had one song in particular called "Holy is the Lamb," where our pastor Bishop Wallace at the time was teaching, and he was teaching. He called everybody to the altar, and he had everybody just crying "Holy, holy," like the angels, and that's literally where that song came from. And so I was actually playing the melody of that song. I didn't write it yet, but I was actually playing the melody, and then I started actually singing that song during that time, and I went right up to the studio and recorded it. And so a lot of the stuff in church was birthed in a worship experience. It was actually birthed like, oh man, this fits right here. Personal songs, like I went and did my album Everything to Me, which was my first real album that I ever did outside of church albums. And personal songs that I wrote came from different places. They came from me sitting in my living room dealing with stuff, personally dealing with issues. I have a song called Here I Am, where that was kind of, it was like a broken place in my life. I could still remember the exact time. And basically, it was like, here I am. I'll sing it. That was actually a song that I was going to sing. And it's just talking about surrendering your life, laying your own life down, all your accomplishments, and just saying, I'm here, whatever you need me to do, use me. Everything that I have doesn't really mean much, but everything that you are. And I didn't know at the time where that was actually going to lead into in the future of my life, when I did write that song.
So, if you had to say what song was your favorite, what song is your favorite?
My favorite song is a song called "You Rain," and I actually have a live version of it on my album "Everything to Me." It's called "You Rain," and that was actually one. Uh, Most of my songs, if not all of my songs, point back to God. They all point to God, and so
Hmm.
there's not a lot of like me, I need. It's not a lot of that, which is fine. I don't dog people who write like that, but most of my songs are actually just, it's about Him. Worship is pointed back to Him, And so, but the song "You Reign" is really just talking about the reign of God on this earth. That we're not afraid because you reign. We're ready for whatever move you have. That's you reign. That's the whole message behind that.
So, um, what's your favorite hymn?
Oh, I love the song "Jesus." There's just something about that name, Jesus. There's just something about that name. Um, the song. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
So, since you singing,
Yeah. Yep. I got the song. You ready for this? Is this where
yes.
we are? Okay. I got the song called "You." Not "You Rain." That's one of my other ones. "Here I Am," and this is the song I was talking about. Really, just where it came from the place. So I'll play that one. Here I am. Here I am. I surrender all. Here I am. Take my life, overwhelm me again. I surrender all. Here I am. Here I am. Here I am. I'm willing to give it all. So here I am. Take my heart, satisfy me again. And I surrender all. Here I am. I lay me down. No longer my will. Earthly crown no longer matter. Oh, oh, lay me down. No longer my will. Oh, earthly crown no longer matter. Here I am. Here I am. Here I am. Here I am. I'm willing to give it all. So here I am. Take my life, satisfy me again. And I surrender all. Here I am. That's it. Like
Yay!
that. Like a
I
short
love
version.
it. I love it. Um, hmm. So I'm glad to be able to, um, where ministry becomes personal and you have those moments with God in your true honesty with Him to say, here I am. I have nothing else. I don't know what else to do. I'm a give you everything that's concerning me. because we try as humans to do everything without God, and we
Right.
can't. All we do is make it worse.
Right.
So I love um that song to just say that I'm definitely here. Thank you, Train. We appreciate it.
That's my train.
Yeah.
Train
So
by.
um so now that we know that you and how you came into being a worship leader, how did you come into stepping into the next level of being a preacher?
Uh, I haven't. I don't know if I've stepped into that level yet. I've preached a couple times, but I don't. I haven't. That's not kind of a regular thing yet. Maybe what look you put preacher down there. Maybe one day I could step fully into that level, but that's not where I am yet.
So what is Matthew BB up to these days? Like, are you back in the studio? Are you
Hmm.
preaching? Are you still doing worship leading? What are you doing?
So I lead worship at a few different churches actually, across the city of Detroit, and right now I feel like my mission is just to do that, to help people in worship who need worship. And I don't really focus so much on theology as far as, this specific thing is what they teach and stay away from that. I go where the Lord tells me to go. And I'm my mission right now is to help people get into worship. Now, I'm not going to churches where they don't teach the gospel, or anything like that. But different denominations believe different things, and they hold on to different things. And I kind of crisscross denominations like that. Um, uh, yes, I'm in the studio. I'm actually working on a new song right now, called Yeshua, and hopefully that will be done within the next few weeks or month, where I can actually release it and put it out there. Um, yeah, that's basically it. Leading worship and traveling and recording. Still, that's my full time job. That's what I do for a living. And so people pull me in. Sometimes I'm doing five. Sometimes I'm doing 8, 9 services a week. Just depending on the week. And so that's just really. And people have asked me like, well, do you want to settle down? Maybe you won't have to do that so much if you have this and have that. And I'm like, no, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm called to do. It's not a matter of like, I'm going to do it till I can't do it no more. And and whenever somebody calls and they look for a worship leader at a particular event or something like that, I'll be there. I'll as long as it all works out schedule wise and all that, I'll make it work. And so that's just my calling. And just like anything else, when Lord put that on my heart that that's what I was supposed to do, there were people who would try to stop me. There were people who didn't want me to do it. Churches that I would go to, like, if you're going to be here, we need you to be here only. And I would tell them, well, then I can't be here because this is what God's told me to do. When it becomes a conviction and a calling, it's kind of easy to say, I'm good. I'm good. I'll pass up the money or whatever because I know my calling and I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And the Lord has always taken care of that for me.
That's really good. Listen. I'm glad that you are saying what you're saying. Again, especially from musicianship or feeling like you have to do this or else.
Right.
You have to be spirit led. And that's amazing. So I have a couple of words that um, I need all my guests to, say to the village of understanding why they are a part of our lives, to continue to push forward in this world that is upside down. Um, we live moment to moment. where we're grateful that we still have breath in our bodies.
Right.
Um, and so the words are uplift and empower. And I need to know from you what these two words mean, or what do you do to uplift and empower people?
Uplift is in within my calling. I know my calling is to uplift people who are coming in dark places, who are coming in heavy hearted, and who are coming in broken, and to uplift them to a place. To uplift is simple. It just means to encourage and build up, to the point to where they don't feel it, where they don't feel like they are stuck where they are. And so within my calling, like I said, to uplift people is to point them back to Christ and show them that they have more potential than just where they are, and for them not to settle in a place of hopelessness or despair. And as worship leaders, that's really what we're called to do. As worship leaders, we're called to pull people out of situations, with our worship, and point them back to Christ so he can speak to them. And so that's, to me, that's uplifting. That's encouraging people to go to a place where they can't go on their own. And making sure they understand that the focus is God. Empowerment is teaching others to do that same very thing. I want to help teach others and empower them to go forward in uplifting people and helping to grow people. And to empower is just to give the tools necessary, give the knowledge, give the understanding, and give the confidence to what they're supposed to be doing, what they're called to do. And so it actually goes twofold. You empower to uplift. That's one of our callings, not only as worship leaders but as Christians.
Absolutely. And the last one would be, what does a balanced life look like for you?
Um, that's good. That's actually a really good question. Balance. Some people, and I hear this all the time, where it's like people get too heavenly minded that they're no earthly good, and they get to a place where they can't relate to anybody because there's a lack of balance in their life. And it's making sure that you stay like Christ when he would minister to thieves and drunkards and prostitutes, and when he would minister to those, the reason why he could relate is because Christ had a balanced focus. He had a balanced focus. He knew that in order to reach these people, he would have to get into some of the levels that they're at. Not sin, not saying, okay, you have to sin to reach people, but you're going to have to get down into the levels where they are. You're going to have to understand some things. You're going to have to be relevant in certain culture and certain understandings, to where, like Jesus would teach about fishing. Jesus would teach about carpentry. Those are big things in Nazareth at the time. Jesus would give examples of like Greek stories and stuff, stuff like that, where because they spoke Greek, and that was the culture that they were surrounded by in Jerusalem at the time. And so understanding that balance is to be able to be among, but not necessarily dwell. That's not your home, but you know how to be among them to be able to reach them. And that's part of what we're called to do. Paul said, I am all things to all men. But Paul also had a higher calling, that he was supposed to raise up churches and stuff like that. So that's the balance. To me, that's the balanced life. It's knowing your surroundings, uh, being able to read a room, and being able to function in a way that you can help minister to people in that type of process.
That's really good too. So I do have some church announcements, but before I get into that, I can't let you sing by yourself now.
Go ahead. There is a delay, I think, so we'll try it.
Um, I don't know what we gonna do. I don't know.
We do How Great Is Our God. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great how great, how great
great
is
our
our God.
God.
How great
Great
is our
is our
God.
God.
Sing with
Sing
me,
with me
how
how
great
great
is our
is our
God.
God.
Don't we
Oh,
sing
sing
how
how
great,
great,
how
how
great
great
is
is
our
our
God.
God.
He's the name above all names, and he's worthy of all
How
praise.
praise, and
My
my
heart
heart
will
will
sing
sing
how
how
great
great
is
is
our
our
God.
God.
How great
How
is
great
our God.
is our
Sing
God.
with me how great
How
is
great
our God.
is our
Don't we
God.
sing how great,
How
how
great,
great
how great
is our God.
is our God. Yay! Yay, yay, yay. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. I know. Dang it, forget it. I forgot the song. Anywho, before I let you go, dead or alive, who would you love to have a collaboration with?
Ooh, man. Uh, I
Yeah,
think I would like to do something with Israel, a collaboration with Israel.
of course.
That would be fun. That would be cool.
Yes. They'll be
I
like,
do.
oh, Israel got a twin.
Yeah, I respect them, and as far as like musical style, that's what I came up on. So yeah, yeah.
That's it. That's the only one.
Oh, I got more options. Um, let me see. Travis Green. I love Travis Green's not only his music but his ministry. Um, Not dead. Let me think. Lord have mercy. There was actually a singer named Rich Mullins who actually passed away in the '90s, but he was a phenomenal musician, and if I could have ever done something with him, that would have been insane. You know, just from a musical standpoint, he was a great musician. Along, he's the one who wrote the song. I don't know if you know, like "Sing Your Praise to the Lord." Come on, everybody. He wrote that song, which is a really big song in the '80s. You know, as far as '80s worship and stuff like that. So probably Rich Mullins would be like the ultimate for me. The guy was phenomenal.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that you sat down and we didn't chatted and we've
Yeah.
sung and all these wonderful things. I'm glad to know you. I'm glad to that you were able to sit down and talk with us tonight. The village, of course, appreciate you. I know I do. I do have some church announcements before. Um, I appreciate everyone that has stopped by who's commenting. And I told you when I said that I put the flyer out, people was like, "Oh, Matthew, oh, that's my boy. He's fire. I'm telling you,
Amen.
amen." In a church,
It's
it's
an honor.
amen.
Right.
For supportive reasons, just to get this book out here, my first single book by myself. Now I have written other books with other people, but this is one by myself. It's the Blueprint Guys Design. It is on Amazon. You can put in the title, or you can put my name in or the code, and it will come right up. I thank you in advance for all those who would love to see what the journey looked like for getting back to the beginning. In the research of this book and the things that God has shown me, it was fear was one of the chapters, and it was one of those things of holding back as well as being in God's way. And he was showing me that fear is mentioned in the Bible 365 times. Something that we might have to deal with on a daily basis. But God didn't give us the spirit of fear. So it's still a choice if you accept it or not. And just in that moment, after writing this book, the next month, I was on a cruise, facing my own fears. And God delivered me. So from there, I can take it wherever I go, knowing that I have confidence in God that nothing, I'm not afraid of anybody or anything. I can go in a room, I can go in there with the president and chop it up like I'm talking to you and won't be afraid. So I just thank God for the opportunity that he gave to me to write down what he said, and it's going to help somebody. If you want to continue to see the blessings of this ministry, you can cash at me at Sunshine Camila, Kamilah. That is how you spell my name. Camila is how you say it, and I thank you in advance for all that you're doing. Again, my big brother was on again. I must. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Wally. Happy birthday to you. And many more. So again, this platform is sponsored by Black Top Street Ball Association, btsba.com. This is Main Events, baby. So very soon you will be seeing him back out as an owner, as taking the culture back of revamping and one. So go to their website to see what they got going on. If you have someone or a guest that you want to see on the show, inbox me on Facebook. That's Messenger. Inbox me on IG. These are both of my IG accounts. You can definitely get in touch with me, and you will be talking to only me. Also, you can email me, and you can also get in touch with me that way. Again, I do respond very quickly. So again, thank you in advance. Crystal P, my sister, will be on soon. She's celebrating 20 years in entertainment, more than the eyes can see. Saturday, March 16th at 7 p.m. at the Ford Community and Performing Arts Center, 15801 Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. You don't want to miss this show. I missed it last year and I was so upset. And I promised myself I was not going to miss it this year. So we want to support Crystal P. My friend, my sister Shamanda, owner of Nesting LLC, launches on Friday, this Friday, March 1st. You will be able to pre-order t-shirts and buy the book Nesting Faith, which is Conquering the Battles of Infertility. I know personally because I deal with that myself. So I bought my book today, matter of fact. And so I am interested on the journey of herself and her husband on what we have to go through, even on the mental, even physically. It's not the easiest thing, but with God, of course, all things are possible. Amen. Also with Shamanda, you guys have been asking me, what is my next project? What are you up to? What are you doing? Well, here it is. I am the narrator as well as the actress in this stage play called When He Speaks. This is actually written and directed by Shamanda, which is
Oh, she's an amazing writer, amazing director. Remember her name, Shamanda Dalton. Yes. And so the stage play will be Saturday. Mark your calendars. Do you want to play something while I'm doing this? I think you should. Let me turn
Me?
yeah, you. So Shamanda will this will be Saturday, April 20th. You can't beat this, y'all. Dinner and a play. The tickets are $25. If you just want to see the play alone, it's only $10. Let me say that again. Dinner and the play. Tickets are only $25. If you just want to see the play, it's $10. So we definitely want to, and I'll have more details on here as well. Give me a second. It will be at the church. It's called God's Oasis, where Pastor Mike and Lady V. Vaughn reside. Location 17350 Wilson Avenue in Roseville. Tickets will go on sale next week. Vendors are needed for this event. Please inbox me if you want to be a vendor. If you want to get tickets, whatever. Please support. Please support. Again, we are called The Village. This is what we do. You wanted to see me? Now you're going to see me. And some amazing actresses and actors. Can't tell you no details, but it's something you definitely don't want to miss. And I'm not just saying it because I'm it, but it is very powerful. Shamanda and her husband, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go to YouTube. I want you to click on Married to Film and subscribe. They, I had them on not too long ago, and they do reviews on your movies, your TV series, and things of that nature. You don't want to miss their conversation as well. This is what I do. I support our people. Also, if you want to buy the book, where is it? I gotta find it. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's little. You can't see it. Oh no. That's not good. So give me a second. I will. Laughoften.myshopify.com. Laughoften.shopify.com. Again, I want you to support Shamanda, support Crystal P, support my boy Matthew Beebee. Go to all social media, all digital platforms to support his music and his music ministry. Believe me, you will continue to see his face worldwide, not just in our country, not just in Michigan, but he's a bad worship leader. So I just thank him for rendering the music tonight, for just being who he is. And I speak blessings over your life. You haven't even scratched the surface of what God is about to do with you and through you. Again, if you have people that you want to see on the show, they have a story to tell or they want to promote themselves, we need it. And I can't leave without telling you who's up next. Hank Bilal, who's a trombonist, will be here on Thursday, and I cannot wait. Next week, if you any type of music person, especially in the gospel world, if you don't know who Rudolph Stanfield Jr. is,
Right.
something wrong with you. and he has married my sister. Jackie Johnson is now Jackie Stanford. And
Amen.
I am so elated. Oh my God. I'm probably going to cheesing from the time they get on to the time it's over. I'll make sure that I won't have my lashes on because I already know I'm going to be crying. So, anywho, they're coming next Tuesday. And then next Thursday, Crystal P will be back on the stage on here to promote and talk about her show that she has coming up the following week after that. Again, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're literally one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. Proven over and over again since I started this show in 2020. Again, please share the broadcast. I need you, village. I need you. And tonight, the last words will be from Matthew Beebee. What you got to say, sir?
Amen. I just tell everybody to stay encouraged. That times can be tough. You know, we're all going through some times where we definitely need to slow down and focus on who God is and focus on who He is, not only in the grand scheme of things, but who He is in our lives personally. And you know, what does that mean to us? How does that affect us? How does that grow us? How does that change us? Um, and when we see that, when we understand it, when we have more of a focus of that, we'll see things change in our lives for the better. Period. And you know, we won't question where it came from, because the Bible says all good things come from the Lord, and so we know that. So stay encouraged. You know, God's getting ready to move continually in the church, and so we just got to be ready to move when He says go.
Amen. So
Amen.
again, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you back on Thursday at 7 p.m. with Hank Bilal, and I cannot wait. So again, ciao to then. Peace.